And we're live. Welcome to Daily Confidence for Entrepreneurs. My name is Mustafa Hosseini, your host for the show. At Daily Confidence, we share tips, strategies, and actionable advice that you could use to boost your confidence when it comes to running your business and in different areas of business. We do a draw and we give away gifts. And if you could subscribe to the show on whichever channel that you are watching. And basically, if you subscribe to our channel on Apple, Spotify, Google podcast, if you have questions during the show or after show, pop them in the chat box or as a comment and we'll get back to you. And or if you know a friend who could benefit from the conversation that we're having, you will enter your name for the draw. I have an amazing guest today, Nathalie LeFave. Welcome, Nathalie.
My pleasure, Mustafa. How are you?
Good. I am good. And today we're talking about how to juggle between family, business, and health, which is a very important topic. If you know anyone that could benefit from this conversation live, invite them to the show right now. And if you have any questions, just pop them in the chat box or as a comment. So let me do the proper introduction for Nathalie, and then we're going to dive into a very interesting conversation as it's about mindset and how to manage yourself and your business and your time, family, and the rest of it. So it's going to be really interesting. So without further ado, Nathalie is a holistic transformation coach and has been a leader in holistic health and wellness for 20 years, a mother of 3 boys and a yogi. Her mission is to help parents become free of their past to create their desired life by tapping into their subconscious mind, connecting with their body, and aligning their mind and heart. She is a certified rapid transformational practitioner, Forrest yoga teacher, and a Huna energy healing practitioner. Welcome, Nathalie.
My pleasure, Mustafa. Nice to be here with you.
And likewise, great to have you. So whereabout are you?
I live just outside Toronto, Canada, in a small town called Milton, Ontario.
Milton, Ontario. Beautiful. What's the weather like right now?
It's nice and sunny right now. It's breezy, so I have my windows open. So if you heard the siren early on, that's a car siren outside. So.
Oh yeah. Okay. Good. Good. Last time I was in Ontario was probably 2 or 3 years ago.
And did you like it here?
I loved it. We went to the highlight of the trip was Niagara Falls, which is obviously an iconic place, and then the Wonderland. We spent the whole day in the Wonderland, and I rode those
roller coasters.
The roller coaster so many times, my head was spinning like for a whole week.
You're brave riding those roller coasters.
I was with my best friend, and we're both crazy about this kind of stuff. So we just rode the roller coaster all day, basically. So yeah. So Nathalie, what is your story? How did you get into? What's the backstory behind what you do now?
Well, Mustafa, when I was just out of university, I have a commerce degree, a business degree. I started working in large corporations such as for the bank, CIBC. I worked for Unilever Canada, for GE. And I was really good doing what I did. But at the end of the day, I wasn't fulfilled at all. To the point that at one point I was almost at crossroad, on the verge of having a nervous breakdown. And that had to change for me. So, because I couldn't imagine working like this and having a family. At that time, I was, still not married, not having kids, but I did want to have kids. So that set me on the path of really connecting with who I am. And so I started with becoming a fitness instructor and a personal trainer. And I love movement. And from there, I got into yoga because I was also very addicted to intense exercise. So it was a form of release for me.
Huh.
but I was running away from pain. And I didn't understand that. And when I found yoga, and one yoga teacher asked me one day, what is it that you're running from? And that made me question what I was doing. And so yoga had set me on that healing path to get connected with myself and to start that journey of finding out what's inside of me. What is it that I'm feeling that I'm not wanting to feel? And so that started that journey. And eventually that led me to find energy healing as well. When my dad was on his deathbed, I was born on an island called Mauritius, which is across the world from where I am. I got to spend my last 2 days with him, and he couldn't talk. So the only way to communicate was through energy. I could feel his energy, and I knew that he could feel my energy. And that set me on this, curious journey of what is energy and how we connect to each other. Like me talking to you right now, I can sense you and you can sense me and others as well. So then I started learning about energy healing and practicing that. But at the end of the day, Mustafa, I can tell you, be it I was a personal trainer, be it I was a yoga teacher, energy healer, people that came to me, there was something deeper always. And the root causes of what's causing, be it their ailment, be it that they're overweight or they have an addiction, was deeply rooted. And one day I stumbled on rapid transformational therapy, and I knew that was going to be like what the tool that I've been waiting for.
Awesome.
Because that helps us to connect with our subconscious mind. And we know how the mind is so powerful. And when we can connect with the subconscious that stores all our memories, then we can ask our subconscious, why is it that I feel the way that I feel today? And when we can understand, because unless we understand, then we can do something about it. And so helping people to guide them to understand what's the root cause, reframe that for them, and help them to rewire their subconscious with the belief that they need today in order to reach the goals that they want in life, or their desired lifestyle, like I call it. And so this is my path that led me now to use all of these tools that I've learned. The yoga helps to connect with the body, because the body is the part of us that we can easily feel. When you get hurt, you can feel that. When you have a headache, you feel that, right? And so when we can connect with the body, and then connecting with the mind, and then learning how to align the two of them, then we can get that sense of freedom, of peace, of knowing, and really get connected with ourselves. So this is my journey in a nutshell.
So as you were just saying your last sentence, connecting the body and the mind, I became aware of my muscles, and I started relaxing. I was getting chills in my. I'm just curious, when you say your dad was halfway across the world, whereabout is that? Where's your family from?
I was born on an island called Mauritius. I don't know if you're aware of Mauritius. It's a tiny island on the east coast of South Africa. So close to Madagascar. People know Madagascar usually.
Yeah.
And so it was a French colony and then British, and now it's been independent since 1968. So that's where I was born, and I grew up on the island. And the island is very diverse, just like in Canada, because people from all over the world came to the island. It was an island that was it's in the middle of the Indian Ocean. So back in the days, all the ships will cross the Indian Ocean and would stop there. So now that it's independent, there's a lot of people from India, from the French and the British came to colonize the island, and of course there was slavery at the beginning on the island, so it's very diverse, yeah, with regards to culture.
Interesting. Now, is it now its own independent country? Is that what it is?
It is, yeah.
Okay. And what's it called again?
Mauritius.
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 Very interesting. Very interesting. So is it possible to have good health for business owners while they're working really hard?
If health is important to you, which I assume when you're a business owner, you want freedom, right? That's why we all own our businesses, because we want that freedom. Now, if I ask you, Mustafa, if you have all the money and you're working hard and you're receiving all the money you want, but you do not have health, what good is that for you?
Not good at all.
Right? If you don't have a good relationship with your family, how good is that?
Not good at all. You can't be on your own with a lot of money, but it doesn't really matter, I guess.
Right? And when, just like me, when we leave this earth, do we bring all that stuff with us?
No.
Right? So, and I think at the end of the day, health is important to all of us. But the question is, if it is not a priority for you, then why is it not a priority? And now, when you can ask yourself this very honest question, then you can get to, what is it that's not allowing me to take care of myself? What beliefs that I have acquired that says, like, I can speak for women because I'm a mother and I'm a woman, and usually that's what happens when we have kids, we have a job, or we have a business. We tend to put ourselves last. Why is that? Right? So there are very deep beliefs that run our lives. And so therefore, that's why I'm so passionate about teaching people to become curious, to inquire. The things that are important to you, get clear about that. And yes, you can have a business and you can grow your business, but along the way, be aware if you're sacrificing the most important aspects of your life.
Love it. So over the past couple of weeks, I've been doing some personal work, and I've been asking and answering questions about myself. So I'm just going to answer this question of what is important to me. I'm going to add that to that document. What are the things that are important to me? And I'm going to think about it. Just knowing and being aware of it, I think is important.
Yeah, because you are the creator of your life, right?
Exactly.
And so you know yourself what is important to you. And nobody else know that.
Yeah, I think what happens with a lot of business owners is some business owners, if not all, or most of them, work really hard, like 60, 80 or more hours a week. And then they wear themselves out. They don't sleep enough. They're not content. And then they get all sorts of diseases, their health, they lose their family. And some of them end up, I guess, making money, right? And achieving some business success. But like you mentioned, they lose their health, they lose their family, they lose their friends. And it's just the next thing you know is it's not very effective. Let's just put it that way. So for someone that is experiencing that, what tips and advice do you have for someone that could balance or juggle between family, business, and health?
So first thing, and a lot of times what happens is that what's running us is not conscious.
What do you mean by
that? So nobody wakes up and say, this is what I'm going to do. I am working really, really hard, and I'm okay sacrificing my health, and that's what I want, right? There's another drive behind the working hard. I know it really well because I come from a culture that says you need to work really hard in order to become successful.
Mm-hmm.
And I think a lot of people grew up like this. So therefore, going back to, there's a belief there. And if you slow down, and what I ask people to do is just, just like you and I sitting here, just take a deep breath and ask yourself, when you get up in the morning, say you're about to start your day, and you say, I have to work from like 7 a.m. till 10 p.m. tonight. What is it that you think you will get from working that many hours a day nonstop?
That's another good question.
Right?
What was the question again? What is it?
What is it that you think you will receive from working so hard?
What is that important? Where does that question drive us?
I will give you an example. Often there's a belief that I have to work hard to feel that I'm doing a good job.
Right.
That I'm doing my best.
Uh-huh.
So then if that's the case, why do you think that you're not doing your best in the first place?
Mm-hmm.
So when
I want to show others that I'm a really hardworking person.
Exactly. You have to prove yourself.
Right? To my customers, to my parents, to my family, to my friends.
Exactly. So then the moment we do that and we say, I have to prove to others that I'm enough, that I have to prove to others that I'm successful in their eyes, you've disconnected with yourself. You're
not serving yourself, you're serving others, I guess.
Exactly. And when you serve others, then there's a part of you that feels, what just happened here?
What about me?
What about me? But understand, Mustafa, that disconnection is already there. And that disconnection, if I ask even you, for example, that disconnect, how far does that go back? That I have to prove myself to others all the time.
So are we looking for the first instance that happened?
That happened. And if I ask you right now, how far does that go back? How far would you say it goes back?
Usually it goes back to childhood, right?
Bingo. So a lot of who we are today, our personality, not who we truly are, we've learned that from the first 7 years of life, that's when the programming happened. Just like your smartphone is programmed, your computer is programmed. That first 7 years of life is when a child's brain is programmed. The child is absorbing everything. That's why, when we say you want to teach a child multiple languages, teach them when they're young. You want to teach them how to play any instrument, teach them when they're young, because they're like sponge. The mind is in a hypnotic trance for the first 7 years of life. All children are doing is absorbing information, watching what mom, dad, teachers, elders are doing, and that's how they learn how to be in society. Well, guess what? What mom and dad and all the other people, how they behave, where did they learn that?
From their parents.
From their parents, from generations and generations. And a lot of those beliefs and behaviors and habits fast forward to being an adult today, are not serving us.
Absolutely.
Right? If I ask you your smartphone, your phone, how many times does it ask you to update it?
A lot of times.
And if you don't update it, what happens?
It stays behind, then it breaks and it gets vulnerable.
And so if I ask you or anybody else listening, how many times have you updated your mind, your computer?
Absolutely. So, a couple of questions. So, here's what I wrote down. Another question that I'm going to answer is, what belief is not serving me? And I'm going to answer that question. Now, two things that came up. One is well, I guess the first step would be to identify what are the beliefs that are not serving me anymore.
Yeah.
And then what is the next step? How do you go about fixing or getting rid of that belief? Because I know a belief that is embedded in your behavior or in my behavior.
Exactly.
It's not as easy to get rid of, especially if it's in my DNA and it's a generational kind of behavior. And
yes, it's in your subconscious.
You're right.
Right? And that's why. So how we go about it, sorry, there's a car passing by with a lot of noise. And that's where rapid transformational therapy comes in.
Okay.
So this is a session that we access the subconscious and we ask the subconscious specific questions related to whatever challenges you're experiencing. Say, for example, you're feeling that you're not good enough, then we ask the subconscious to come up with, the first few memories of what made you develop that belief about yourself. And your subconscious will come up with it because everything is stored there.
What was the question again? What was the belief?
We'll ask the subconscious to come up with the first memories of that belief. How did that belief come to take place? Because something must have happened for you to develop that belief. And a belief happens because it's a repeated thought that keeps happening, right? And then it develops into a belief. So for example, as a parent, right? And that's why we say, when your child made a mistake, never say you're stupid, right? Because if a child keeps hearing you're stupid, you're stupid, you're stupid, what's going to happen eventually?
They're gonna feel stupid.
Exactly. And I work with a lot of clients that when they go back to what caused them to believe certain things about themselves, they go back to those situations where they heard these words over and over and over. And then that become who they are, right? So in the session, that's what I help people do, uncover what made them come up with that belief and also reframe those beliefs, because those beliefs happen in childhood. And a child's brain is not fully developed until you're in your mid-20s. So meaning when you're a child or even a teenager, your brain hasn't fully developed yet. Bless you.
Thank you.
So when a child sees something happening and maybe didn't even hear those words, but certain circumstances happen and situation in their life, and then they put a certain meaning to it, that meaning served them when they were young.
Yeah.
But the meaning is no longer serving us as adults. So that's why it's important to reframe. When we are the adult, we're not a child anymore. We have coping mechanism that we didn't have as a child. Right? If I ask you, when in your life are you the most helpless? When would that be?
Are you asking me?
Yeah.
when was it that I was the most helpless? When I was going to school.
Yeah, so you were a child.
No, I was university time.
But think about, okay, at university, but when are you the most helpless, meaning that you needed somebody to help you learn, teach you certain things,
So
help
you
you?
see, I immigrated to Canada and I was just here on my own. That's it. I was responsible for everything.
Right.
And I was in survival mode. So it was just me.
It was just you.
I had to go to school. I had to work. I had to figure out, because I wasn't born in Canada. I was born in Iran.
Mm-hmm.
And so I had to deal with the culture. I had to learn the language. I had to learn how to do business. So that's why when you ask me that question, that's the period for me. Now I'm sure there are instances in my childhood where when I went to school where I needed help as well, or I was helpless.
Yeah, and even a baby, right? Think about a baby when we are just born. How, we need mom and dad. We need a caregiver to care for us, to meet our needs.
So where are we trying to get with that question of when were you helpless?
It's because when something happened and you felt helpless, if the same thing happened to you today, would you be as helpless as a child?
Is there a right answer to that?
Like, say, for example, I give you an example. Say you're a child and you got teased at school, right, for wearing a shirt that had cartoon on it, and people, like other kids, how they are, and they are making fun of your shirt. A child, this can be very painful for a child. Would you agree?
Yeah.
Now, if you are now an adult and you're wearing a shirt and somebody comments on your shirt, would that be as painful for you?
Probably not.
So, and that's what I mean. As an adult, you have the ability to logically think, and you have the ability to cope better.
Cope better.
Yeah. Even if somebody was running after you as a child, an adult was running after you, compared to today, if somebody else was running after you, would it be the same?
No.
Right? You would know what to do. You would yell, you would scream, you would, knock on somebody's door today. But as a child, maybe the child doesn't know that.
So yeah, go ahead.
So that's where, I mean, like, when we uncover the beliefs that happen, that we develop in childhood, and we put meaning to it, there's meaning that help us then is not helping us today. And that's where the reframe comes up. And that's what I was trying to explain. That's how we do the reframing.
Okay. And that's what you help people with, to reframe.
Yeah, reframe, and we rewire the subconscious as well.
Love it.
Yeah.
Love it. Yeah, I think there needs to be some deep digging into the subconscious, because all of those experiences are affecting and forming our behavior, the way we think, the way we make decisions, and the way we live, basically. And so I really love what you brought up as to go back, dig up what is not serving, and reframe it and deal with it.
Yeah, because today it's not about, we don't want to stay in the past. We want to know what to do in the present when those habits shows up, the old habits that we know are not serving us. When they show up, we need to be able to deal with that. And so when we understand where they come from, then we can do something else about those habits. Then we can say, okay, I understand where that comes from. I know where that comes from. I know what to do now. What is it that I need? What is it that, my body is telling me by having those strong emotions? For example, if I feel angry, like, as parents, sometimes we get really impatient and angry at our children. And it's not that our children are doing it on purpose. No child ever gets up and say, I'm going to mess up with my parents today. I'm going to make their life hell. Right? That never happens. But when we get triggered as an adult, as a parent, we need to question that. What is it that I've been feeling even before my child did this thing that triggered me? So that I do not.
What is it that I'm feeling?
That is, what is in me that made me feel the emotions when my child, say, for example, triggered me, or somebody else came in, or a client of yours, or anybody else that comes in your vicinity triggered you. It's not about that person. It's about what's in me. When we talk about a trigger, if you look at the gun, the trigger is very small, but the ammunition inside is what comes out, that explodes.
Oh. So it's a reflection of what's inside.
It's showing you what's inside.
Yeah.
And so instead of, I know I've done this as a parent too, and get angry at the child.
Yeah.
Instead of spending your energy on that, spend the energy on yourself and question what's in me that came out just now.
I got some questions to ask myself. But here's the deal with me though. When my kids do stuff, it doesn't make me as angry as it makes my wife angry. And I'm just like, he's messing things up. Yeah, let him be. Let's let him do his thing. It's not a big deal. But she doesn't like it.
Yeah, well, being a woman, being a mother, I can tell you, on my part, I can't speak for her, but I can maybe give you some insight. Is usually, again, it comes down to if I haven't been taking care of myself, okay? Maybe it's been days, maybe it's been weeks. Right? And I've been like saying, okay, I can deal with it. And then my body can't take it anymore.
Yeah.
And then, the children starts to act up and I was at my limit, then that's when the anger will explode and surface.
Got it. So the key is there to for mothers to take care of themselves.
Exactly.
And I think for fathers too.
And for fathers to help out. And that's why, if you're not a single parent, then you're lucky, because then you can help each other.
Absolutely.
Because we have to meet our needs. And when we meet our needs, then we can meet our children's needs, because our children depend on us. Right? That's why they live with us. But for ourselves, we are no longer children, but a lot of us are still waiting because their needs when they were children were not met.
Absolutely. So speaking of anger and stress and dealing with all this, what is the best way to manage these feelings and manage stress from work and children, life and business and the rest of it? Or what are some good ways to do it?
So first of all, when you're juggling many roles, even the day before I go to bed, like, I know tomorrow what I have. What is the most, maybe 2 important things for me that I have to get done family-wise? Okay, so maybe I need to take the kids to the dentist. That's, I have to do that. Or I want to make sure that I'm spending time with each one of them. So that's my priority. And then work, same thing. What are the things that you're working on, or clients that you have to see, that that you have to be present with, that you have to have things ready. And so planning and preparation is key.
Planning and preparation. What are the top 2 things I need to do?
Yes, and so asking yourself, what is that priority for you, right?
What advice do you have for people who have no clue how to prioritize and figure out what are the top 2 things that they must do out of 20 that I have on the list?
So that's where it may not be the answer they want to hear, but sitting with themselves.
Okay.
Sitting with yourself, even if it's 5 minutes. And maybe you start with the aspect of your life where you're struggling the most. So say if your relationship is suffering, relationship could be with your partner or with your children. If that's what's suffering, you need to sit and maybe journal. That's the easiest way. Write down. You don't have to think about it, but write down what is not working.
Write
And
down
how do you feel
what is
about this?
not working.
Yeah. And what emotions are you experiencing? Are you experiencing anger? Are you frustrated? Are you sad? What is it?
Oh my God. You have given me so much to work with. This has been one of the, we're not even done yet. And it's been one of the better interviews that I've had for a while. So the question was, what is not working? What emotion I'm experiencing? Was there another question in between?
And then what can I do right now? What part of it? Because sometimes we make it in a big thing, and that's why we put it off, because it seems so big and over our head. What part of it can I address today? Even if you can't fix the problem, but what is it that I can do today that will move me closer?
Love it. Love it. That will definitely give us some awareness as to here's what's happening, here's how I'm feeling, here's why I'm feeling, and all right, here's what I'm going to do. And can you give us some possible scenarios as to someone that is frustrated, worn out, they've been working 80 to 100 hours a week, and they feel like they're spinning their wheels and nothing, it feels like they're stuck in a swamp and nothing is working. What advice do you have for that person?
So when you're stuck in that spinning wheel, right? I call it the hamster wheel. It keeps going and going. You need a pattern interrupt. Because if you don't do it, the universe will do it for you. How many times have we maybe got into an accident or hurt ourselves or fallen sick? That's a pattern interrupt from the universe.
Absolutely.
So you need to do that own pattern interrupt, and it doesn't have to be something that's going to take a lot of time. So what I tell people is throughout your day, and maybe you start with once a day for 5, 10 minutes, 15 if you can afford 15. Do something that's going to put a smile on your face.
Okay.
Simple.
It already brought a smile on my face just talking about it.
Yeah. Do something. I don't care what it is, like listening to music, go for a walk, play with your kids, play basketball, whatever it is, piano, if you're an artist, paint, whatever it is for you. Do something for yourself that will feel good to you. And do it at least for 30 days. Every day, at least once a day. If you can afford twice a day, 3 times a day, do it. When you feel like you need a break, but at least once a day, do it.
What are some examples of things that people could do to bring a smile on their own face?
Like I said, like it could be play music.
Okay.
Listen to your favorite music.
Okay.
If you like going for a walk, go for a walk. If you like you're in sports, do your favorite sports. If, and if it's just playing with your kids and that makes you laugh and that's fulfilling to you, then do that.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Right?
For me,
Oh,
playing my kids definitely gives me that for sure.
yeah. And
So, can you expand more on pattern interrupt? Now, here's my follow up to that. Does it have to be a shocking activity? Meaning,
no.
does it have to be painful?
No.
Does it have to be like a shock? Like, because here's what I'm thinking: a pattern interrupt, because when we get interrupted by universe or God or an outside event, it's sometimes not very pretty.
True. But you know what, Mustafa? It's like that because all along you didn't listen to the signs.
So that's like the big slap in the face saying, hey, wake up.
Wake up, because I've been telling you. Maybe it starts with, oh, my shoulder is hurting a little bit.
Yeah.
Right? Or maybe I'm not sleeping enough. Oh, it could be anything small, but then you do not listen. You keep going, keep going, keep going. So that's why when the universe does it, it's painful at times.
There's a couple of questions. One is, do we need to embrace pain on our end? And just here's why I'm asking this question. Are you familiar with Wim Hof?
Yes.
The Wim Hof? So I've been doing a Wim Hof method for the past year and a half, and I really love it. And tonight we're going to go to a park here in Calgary. And as soon as I do, wherever I find water, I dip into the water and I embrace the cold and the shock that it gives me.
Right.
Because it does a lot of good. Now, and I've been hearing from some high achievers, like highly successful celebrity achievers, and how they're talking about embracing pain and make it part, even when you're like, who was I listening to yesterday? Ray Dalio, who owns Bridgewater Bank, was talking about enjoying the fall and learning. What do you have to add to? Is that something that people should experience? And I'm going back to this pattern interrupt phrase here. And feel free to tell me that I don't need to get stuck on this, but
no, that's okay, because from what I'm hearing is you're questioning if we do have to go through those painful situations in order to interrupt the patterns, right?
Yeah.
And so pain, when we feel the pain is telling us something. Right? Pain is there to tell us that our mind and our heart are not in alignment.
Our mind and heart are not in alignment. All right, perfect.
Yeah. And what we want is not in alignment. And that's what the pain is. So any emotions that creates pain, be it is anger or sadness, right? It's pain that you're feeling. So that's what it's telling you. Now, it's not about running away from the pain when it's present. So say if you feel the pain in your emotions, then you want to sit with it. And I think that's what that person that you were listening to, and maybe I may be wrong, is telling you that you need to go down with it. You need to feel it. You need to experience it and not run away from it.
Yes. Yeah.
And then there's the other pain that we think we need to inflict pain, because you know what? For myself, and I didn't tell you this early on, when I got heavily into exercise, I used to run marathons. I used to lift weights. And the more intense, the better it was for me. And I was feeling so much pain on the inside that I didn't want to feel, that I needed to exert physical pain to numb the pain on the inside.
Oh, that is deep.
And that's why the intensity had to be there for me to shut down what I was feeling.
Where and when did you realize that?
When I was
How
when I
did
was
you realize that you're shutting your inner pain up or down by adding more pain to it? Do you remember
when
when it
yes,
happened?
I remember, because running marathon, I was torturing my body. I was in pain physically. When I was running, it was painful, but I kept doing it to the point where one time I had to stop. And that's when I started going into yoga. I didn't know what was really going on then when I first started yoga. I just wanted to stretch those muscles that was so tight. But then that's when I first experienced Forrest yoga, which is about connecting with your emotions and understanding what is really going on inside of you. That's when I realized what I was doing, that I was running away from that internal pain, emotional pain that I had in me for so long.
Ha. Here's another question that I just wrote that I'm going to answer. What are my internal pains? And am I trying to numb them?
So the pain of feeling not good enough, having to prove myself all the time. That's what I did. I would run the marathon because that's proving that I'm strong, right? Because when I was a child, I did not feel strong. And
Yeah.
so as an adult, I wanted to show the world I am strong.
So all right. So we figured out that you come to the realization you don't feel good about yourself, and now you're trying to prove yourself. What was the next step for you? How did you go? Because I'm sure it happens with business. It has happened to me. It probably still does happen. What was or what is the next step for you or other people?
Then it's about when you become aware, when you know what is causing your pain, you can't unknow it. That's a fact. And that's why sometimes people, because we are creatures of habit, right? And when we know something, we can't unknow it. And sometimes that's hold people back because they know they have to change. And sometimes we're so stuck in the habit of who we are because
Mm-hmm.
that's very familiar. We know how it's going to start and how it's going to end all the time. And so to interrupt that pattern, we need to now let go of those old habits, right? And so letting go is what's the most challenging at times because we know we have to be different now. And, we don't like being different. We don't like, when changes happen, a lot of people resist the change.
So
So
what
there,
are go ahead.
go ahead.
So what are some what tips do you have for people that want to let go of bad habits?
That's when you have to really get to know what are those habits doing for you because they're doing something for you. Right? Habits are there, like be it's just, daily habits, or it could be like even with addiction, with certain behaviors that you feel like you can't get rid of, and you know that in the long term it's not serving you, but you're still doing it, right? And that's because it's serving a purpose. You've learned to use it as an adaptation to cope again with whatever it is that you've been facing.
Maybe a pain in the
Yes.
past. Maybe yeah.
Yeah.
This is deep stuff. I really like it.
It's really deep, and that's why rapid transformational therapy is amazing, because we take about 2 hours to really work with somebody and start to peel the layers to
Peel
get
the
to the
layers.
truth.
Love it, love it, love it, love it, love it. Now I had that question I forgot to ask, or maybe now is a good time to ask, and that is, we talked about shoulder pain, and I know a lot of entrepreneurs get back pain, lower back pain, knee pain, neck pain, headaches, all sorts of pains and discomforts around what you might call it, around business. Now, my question is, how do I communicate and understand that pain? Let's say that I have lower back pain, right? What are some steps, and how do I get awareness of what is the cause of this pain, and what do I need to do to deal with it? Going back to that mind and body alignment, and you talked about how that happens when the body and the mind are not aligned.
Right.
Or was it the heart and the mind?
Yeah, the heart is part of the body.
Right.
So when you experience pain, again, pain is there for a reason. It's a good thing that you feel the pain, because it's like your GPS telling you, oh, you've made a wrong turn, come back. So the pain that you're experiencing is telling you that. It's saying what you're doing right now or what you're thinking is not in alignment of who you are. So for example, if I'm somebody who has a lot of back pain, the back pain is part of the creativity of the energy center that has to do with creativity, right? So opposite of your back is your lower abdomen, and that's where all creativity happens. And when you get blocked there, that means that somehow your creativity is shut down. And perhaps there's a belief that's not allowing that creativity to arise. You're focused on something, like say, as an entrepreneur, like, you know, your finance is always, you know, at there, you know, you're always looking at that, and say you're not meeting your target or your goals, and you're focused on just that. And then you feel like you're stuck. And perhaps it's because part of you being an entrepreneur is allowing yourself to be creative in your own way.
Love it. Love it. Now, another question that I wrote down for myself is, what am I doing that is not aligned with who I am?
Yes. Always ask the question, whatever you're thinking or whatever you're fixated on, is that true?
Is what I'm thinking true, or is what I'm doing true, or both?
Both. Whatever is going on in your mind, if you say, you know, ask yourself, if I stop this, I think this is going to happen, right? Sometimes that's what happens, that we're thinking. Ask yourself, is that 100% true? Can I say it's 100% true? If I don't do this, this will happen. If I don't work 12 hours a day, I'm going to fail at my business. Is that 100% true?
That's a great question. If I don't do what I'm worried about, is that the end of the world?
Exactly.
Like, if I don't answer this person, or if I make this phone call, if I do this thing that I'm afraid of, what are the
consequences?
Exactly. Right? Like what could possibly go wrong if I make this phone call, or if I appear on stage?
Right.
Which people
you know what? A lot of us who are entrepreneurs also, a lot happens to be like wanting everything to be perfect, right? And so that can really drive us to of us going very crazy about things when they're not the way we think they should be.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Now, Nathalie, you've got a gift for people that are watching or listening later. Can you tell us about your gift, please?
It's a meditation, and it's a meditation about becoming a compassionate parent. And it's becoming a compassionate parent not only to your kids, but to yourself. Because a lot of the healing that will happen when we work on ourselves is learning how to reparent ourselves. Because a lot of us, our needs were not met in childhood, and not because our parents did not love us, but just because they were like us. They were stressed out, they were busy. And so getting in touch with that part of ourselves and learning to reparent that part of ourselves so that we can now feel fulfilled and satisfied, and then we can parent our children and meeting their needs.
Love it. That's a really powerful gift. And I think a lot of us, if not everybody, could tap into that and take advantage of it. If you wanted to download and get access to the Focus Productivity.
Oh, that's dance, I think.
Oh my God. Oh my God. I'm sorry.
That's okay. Just so that
that's your husband's.
that's my husband.
Actually, hold on. I'm going to pass.
I know how that can be confusing.
I apologize.
No worries.
Here, I'm going to post yours. Okay, so it's Be a Compassionate Parent meditation.
Yes.
I apologize again. It is called the Becoming a Compassionate Parent meditation. And to get that, you could go to NathalieLeFave.com/meditation. I'm going to spell it out if you're listening or watching. It is Nancy Apple, Tom, Helen Apple, Linda India, Elephant Linda, Elephant, F as in Frank, A as in Apple, V as in Victor, E as in Elephant.com. NathalieLeFave.com/meditation. Go there, get access to this, and looks like there's a world of personal development and making peace with your parents and your past kind of development waiting for you to happen. So go there. I know I'm gonna try this, and I'm really really happy with the stuff that we talked about. So that's actually a very generous gift. So thank you, Nathalie.
Oh, my pleasure, Mustafa. Thank you for having me.
So let me ask you a few personal questions, if that's okay.
Sure, yeah.
What's a new thing that you have tried recently?
I've been swimming with my kids. My two sons, they, prior to, up till when we shut down, they were doing competitive swimming. So they're really good swimmers. So, and we are very grateful for their godmother who has a pool, and we get to go there every day. And so I decided to take up swimming. And I love it because I love water. Mauritius is an island, so I always love the ocean. And so when I'm in the water with them, I usually take them at lunchtime. It's a break for me, a break from, if I've been with a client, and it's a great way to get me more grounded, more in touch with myself. And so that's what I've been taking up. Like, they've taught me how to do breaststroke properly and freestyle. They're like always correcting me and telling me, Mom, your legs needs to be more straight. So nice. That's what I've been doing.
It. So it's another good, amazing way to connect with your kids and do activities together as a parent. Amazing. What are your top 2 or 3 favorite books that have made a massive impact in your life or business?
There is The 4 Agreements by Don Miguel Ruiz.
4
Agreements.
So
that's a really good book, and it goes back to, all these agreements that we've made when we were younger. And there's also A New Earth by Eckhart Tolle. I don't know if you know Eckhart.
New Earth?
Yes, A New Earth.
Okay.
And there's a book by Louise Hay, You Can Heal Your Life.
You Can Heal Your Life?
Yeah. And yeah, so even Eckhart Tolle has another book called The Power of Now as well. That's really good. And along the way of connecting with the body, I know I'm giving you more than free, but there's a good book by Gabor Mate, Dr. Gabor Mate, When the Body Says No.
When the body stays low?
It says no.
When the body says no.
Yes.
Is that more about body language?
Exactly. It's more about even people who have diseases. What is that saying to you?
Love it. So how is this book? Is it giving you like symptoms as to, because I know, I don't know if Dr. DeMartini, which I'm sure you know, I don't know if it's him or someone else, that they did a bunch of studies to identify what could be the sources of different kinds of pain. For example, knee pain could be, there's only like a few things that cause knee pain. Is this the same type of?
No, Dr. Gabor Mate go really into more like even like the stories of real people experiencing different diseases, and and inquire more into that.
Love it.
And he also has a book that he co-wrote, which is a good parent book. If you want to grab that, it's called Hold On to Your Kids.
Hold On to Your Kids.
Yeah, it's written by Gordon Neufeld and Dr. Gabor Mate.
Very nice. Very nice.
Yeah.
Now, Nathalie, if you had an ad that would be displayed on Facebook or Google and everyone on Earth could see your ad, what would your message be for the people of Earth?
That your past doesn't define who you are, and that your future is not limited from that past. That you can always create your life as of now. Even if you are older, it doesn't matter. You can start today. Don't wait if you know that you want a different life than what you've been experiencing up till now.
What is one piece of advice that made a massive difference in your life?
One piece of advice.
And it could be something you learned. It could be something that someone gave you advice from a book, from anywhere, really.
I would say not to be scared to be yourself.
I love that. Tell me more about it.
Again, I think we grow up in thinking we should be a certain way, and we are not, and we can feel it.
Mm-hmm.
And there's something dying in us when we suppress that part of us.
Very nice.
And I think we're all here with a message. We're all here with a gift. And unless we can be who we are, we can't serve others with our message and our gift.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Nathalie, what advice would you give your 20-year-old self?
Don't be so scared. Just feel everything. Open yourself up. Because for so long I was scared. And mind you, I was probably only about 27 when I started doing the work. And so I find I was lucky enough to start early to get on my healing path. But even at 20, which was closed when I left home to come to university here in Canada, I was very scared to be myself and to show who I am. So that's my advice to a 20-year-old out there. Own it. Be yourself.
So I had a similar experience as an immigrant to Canada when I was trying to, and I hinted earlier about the time when I felt helpless. And the moment I tried and realized that being myself works better, everything became a lot easier, and a lot of my so-called Canadian friends were telling me that, Mustafa, you've done a great job adapting to Canada. And I'm like, I actually haven't done anything to adapt. I'm just being myself.
Right.
They're like, oh, yeah, good job. So, and that is great advice. And
no matter where you come from, any part of the world doesn't make you a lesser than person.
Yeah. You're not higher or better or more than other people. You're not lower. See
and
yourself.
I can tell you, Mustafa, on that same saying everybody's level is I got to work with people that have it all. They have it all. Meaning health-wise, but the stuff that they have inside is the same, right? So that shows us that no matter who you are, what is it that you're successful for, if you've made a lot of money, you have a lot of material gain inside, you're just like any other person.
Absolutely. Nathalie, this has been an amazing conversation. I am sure I can easily continue for another 2 hours without getting bored. But out of interest of time, we do need to wrap up. And gang, if there is any interest on dealing with your present self, your past self, and if you got things where you're not sure how to deal with stuff in your past, stuff happening right now, and do reach out to Nathalie. As you can see, and as you just experienced, she is an ocean of knowledge and wisdom, and I can't wait to tap more into what she is doing and offering. I am definitely going to get a hold of her gift, Becoming a Compassionate Parent Meditation, which you can find at nathalielefave.com/meditation. It will be, and it is, in the description of the show and the podcast, so you can reach out and get that. Nathalie, is there anything you would like to add before we wrap up that we maybe
No, I would say just go out there and allow yourself to connect with your authentic self. Take the time. Be in silence 5 minutes. Starts 5 minutes. You can time it.
Absolutely.
And yeah, just do what you love also.
Beautiful.
Every day. But it's a pleasure, Mustafa, to have been on your show.
Absolutely. Likewise. I really had a great time. I have a couple of pages of notes. I actually ran out of space.
You can always reach out to me.
Absolutely, I will. And so, gang, thank you for joining us. Thank you, Nathalie. Do reach out to Nathalie and all the rest of the great, amazing experts that we bring to the show. If you have questions for Nathalie or me, pop them in a comment in the chat box or the comment box below, or reach out to nathalielefave.com. Reach out to her, and we'd be happy to answer your questions. I'm sure she'd be more than happy to answer your questions. Again, as usual, if you please like and subscribe to the show. If you have any comments or questions, post them in there. If you have a friend that could benefit from this conversation, which for me, it's like 99% of my friends could benefit from this conversation. I mean, all of us need to connect with ourselves, connect with our feeling, connect with our mind and body, so that we are content and happy with who we are and what we're doing. And if there is something that we're not happy about, we can address it, we can make changes and take care of it. Otherwise, it shows up in forms of pain, diseases, and that's not a good and pretty spot to be in. So And help is always there. People like Nathalie are. I love her energy. I could sense how amazing she is with her positive energy. So do reach out, and I look forward to seeing you. And again, if there's a topic or a certain person that you would like us to bring to the show, let us know, and we'll go from there. Thank you, Nathalie. Thank you, people joining us.
Thank you.
My name is Mustafa Hosseini. You're listening to Daily Conference for Entrepreneurs, and I look forward to seeing you on our next episode. Bye now.